Hello, I am here to show the movies that I looked at in the month of February, and this is my. So I start from here. So I made a mistake with the movie Curve, and I was looking at some videos and I started writing, and I didn't realize that I put the details for the movie Curve on the side of um Lady Poet, which is a huge mistake to make, and I did not dare want to change anything because this spread was done especially for this movie. So the movie Curve is about this young girl named Mallory, and she is having her wedding in a few days, or I think 2 weeks or something like that. And she's driving, and she encounters some problems with her car, and she meets up with this man who comes out of nowhere and suddenly helps her fix the problem. And as she's driving away, because he looks like a hitchhiker, and as she's driving away, she's looking in the rearview mirror and she sees him looking at her, and she feels so guilty that, she should have offered him a ride. I mean, that's the least she could do because he fixed her car. And she offers him a ride only to find out that this man is a crazy maniac. She crashes the car into as they are nearing a curve. She crashes the car and she ends up in this ditch near this river. And he also ends up with some cuts and bruises. She ends up with a really bad injury on her leg, and he leaves her there overnight. And she he gives her no food, no water. She actually had to eat one of the vermins that was crawling around. She had to like cook it and eat it. And he's taking pleasure in all of this, and he knows that the river is coming up. He knows that the car is going to be flooded. He knows that she's going to die, and he leaves her there and gives her this hacksaw blade and tells her, she has to, in other words, do what you have to do to rescue yourself. And her foot is stuck, so she's assuming that, he gives her this blade to chop off her leg in order to get to escape, and she doesn't. However, she does escape, and she hears this person screaming help, and she stumbles upon this house that he was apparently going to take her to. And she discovered that there are other people there. There's a young woman, and he's holding them against their will, and he is literally doing things to torture them. So she rescues the girl, and they go against him, and the movie ends where he ends up in this trap with his foot. So I'm not sure if I have a next part to it, but that's how it ends up, and she is freed. So for the movie Lydia Poets that I put here, and as I explained, right? So the movie Lydia Poets is about this. It's an Italian mystery thriller that focuses on this woman who is the first woman to practice law in 1833. And she is this bad from practicing law because she's very confident, she's very bold, she looks for resources that could be used for persons to win their case, etc., etc. And the men cannot take this about her, so she gets this bad, and she's no longer able to practice. So she goes to her brother law firm, which she keeps at his house with his wife and her young niece, and also his brother-in-law, who she later becomes involved with while she's already involved with this man who is going to New York. And she helps her brother win many cases. She's very verbal. She just gets through with everything she wants to get through with. And at the end of the movie, she still doesn't win her appeal to get back to the bar. And the movie ends where she's leaving with her lover from New York to go to New York, or will she stay with the guy, with her brother's brother-in-law? And the movie ended there. I also look at the movie The Best of Enemies. Now, this movie is a very sensitive movie. There are some trigger warnings. This movie is about an activist, civil rights activist called Anne Atwater, who fights for the black people in her community against this man who is fighting for his white community named Mr. C.P. Ellis. So she's fighting for school integration because the children are going through so much. They're just going through so much in the community with the white people themselves. And it turns out, that this man comes in and he organizes this thing called charade, which they have to, at the end they vote, and they take people that wouldn't be biased and stuff like that. And even the whites threaten the other whites as well and tell them, you all have to vote no and stuff like that. But in the end, they won the integration, and CPL has got to realize that, you know, the black community is not as bad as he think they are, because he had to end up depending on them to run his business, because he went against the Ku Klux Klan that he was in, and he no longer had the support for his gas station. They even tried to blow it up and stuff like that, and it was a really nice story. The other movie I looked at is Your Place or Mine, which is between these two characters called Debbie and Peter. They have been best friends for years. After they encountered one intimate night, they just stayed best friends. They tell each other every single thing, or they think that they both tell each other every single thing. So Debbie is going to New York for this class, and Peter said, well, let's exchange. You come by me and I will stay by your house, and I will stay with your son. I will pick up the ends. He bonds a lot with her son, and she while they're in New York, she meets another guy, and he sees it on his house camera, and they both realizes, you know, we are bickering, we something's going on here. We to find out that they both have feelings for each other. So those were the 4 movies that I looked at and I really enjoyed for the month of February. So I will see you next time when I come back to do the movies that I looked at in the month of March. Take care and have a good night or day wherever you are. Bye.